I stood still, not knowing what exactly to do. I heard her sobbing and felt bad. I wrapped my arms around her and she tightened the hug. "I'm glad you're back." I lifted her face and she smiled. I couldn't smile because my mood didn't change, but deep down I was happy. "You're not happy to see me?" "I am," I smiled. She hugged me again and I brought her to the room. "The wallpaper is no longer here." I smiled as I took her to the bed. I ripped it off. "Why do you look so tensed up and all red?" "Because you made me this way." I was kinda angry. "Still angry?" I chuckled and bit her ear. "Ouch." She fell on the bed and held her ear. "Ha ha ha, I'm not angry anymore." "Wait here." I stood up and walked to the bathroom. I stood over the sink and washed my face. It turned back to normal and I stared at my reflection in the mirror. "I'm kinda handsome." I poured water on my head and face, then looked at the mirror again. I smiled. Ever since I was a kid, I looked cute whenever my hair and face were wet. I pulled a towel out of the towel rack and dried my face and hair, then walked back to the room. Rosa was looking at my phone. "Hey," she looked up at me and I sat beside her. "Why don't you have pictures in your phone?" "There are pictures in it, Rosa. I mean your personal photos. The only pictures here are of guns, sights, cars, bombs." I chuckled. "Me, I have personal pictures. Lots of them." "Where are they?" I took the phone from her and opened up the place where I hid my bad boy pictures. She took the phone and went through them. "Wow, hot. Cool. Oh my god." I looked at the phone and chuckled at the picture. "You are really fashionable. Where did you take this picture?" "Somewhere in Japan when I went to get my clothes." I cut myself shut because I was about to tell her a top secret of mine. "I love this particular picture. You're so cute here." "Gosh." I looked at the picture and smiled. It was a picture I took while I was coming out of a stream down a waterfall in China. Of course my hair was wet. She kept staring at the picture. "That's enough or I'm gonna get ugly." She laughed and scrolled to another one. I stood up to wear my shirt. "There's a viper on your back. Do you want one?" "No." I wore my shirt and pulled her up. "Let's go down for dinner." "Do you have a maid here?" "No, female worker is here." "Why?" I stopped and looked at her. "My men won't let her legs close even for a day." "Ew." I looked at her face and she looked disgusted. "I think she's a bit of an innocent girl." We walked down to the dining room and met an already set table. "Wow." I pulled a chair for her and she sat down. I sat adjacent her and uncovered the food. I checked the drink and called the attention of the chef to change them to ordinary water because it was alcohol. It was changed and Rosa and I ate while talking like brother and sister. And we laughed at regular intervals. We finished dinner and went outside the house. The guards were all over but she was no longer scared. I carried her and sat her down on the car, then stood in front of her with my arms beside her on the car. "The stars are up." She looked up at the sky and I looked too. I never noticed skies at night before. "Don't look up. I'm jealous." I pulled her face down and she laughed. "A taste of your own medicine? What do you mean by that?" She smirked. I looked at her thoughtfully. It seems she really got jealous over Fedora and I. "Give me the phone." She gave me and I turned around and turned on the camera. "What are you doing?" "Taking a picture with you." She kept her hand over my shoulder and I took one photo. "No, it's too cold. Let's make it warmer." I carried her from the car and dropped her on the ground. I stood behind her and held the phone with my right hand, then used my left hand to cross over her chest like I was drawing her close to me. Her hands moved up and restingly held my left hand. I smiled at her, then took the picture. "Now that's better." She smiled and looked at me. "I'll get you a phone tomorrow morning. I'll soon be really busy so you'll be able to call me whenever you miss me." I drew her hand and cuddled her cheek. "Is that okay with you?" "Yes." I smiled and pinched her nose. "Good girl." Rosa, a week later. "To be honest, this house is boring without bad boy. I just feel half alive. I can't sleep, can't watch TV because I'm not used to watching TV alone anymore. I can't do anything fun." I groaned and reluctantly stood up. I walked outside and tried to walk round the whole house, but laziness wouldn't let me. I took my phone and sat on the cushion in the living room. I began to play games. A guard walked into the room and I looked at him. "Hello, miss, hello." He sat down on the cushion and I became surprised. He's not acting like a guard. Oh, I recall his face. He's the guy who brought pizza for me the first day I came. "Guy, you're Rosa, right?" "Yeah, and you are?" "Leon." "Nice to meet you, Leon." I looked into my phone again. "Bad boy will be back in 2 weeks." I looked up what? But he said it was just going to be 1 week. "You miss him already?" "Well, not that I miss him, but he's supposed to do something for me." He brought out a pack of cigarettes and lighted one. "Care for a cigarette?" "No thanks. I don't smoke." I stood up. "We'll see some other time, Leon." I went back upstairs and decided to take a nap. I closed my eyes and soon fell asleep. I came back and hurried inside because I was really missing Rosa. Though I won't spend the night because I have to rush back to Japan tonight. While I was coming, I bought a bigger teddy bear for her. I entered the living room and saw Leon. He stood up immediately. "Boss. You're back?" "Yeah. Why are you sitting here?" "I just got back from the campaign for the governor and I haven't gone to my room." "Where's Rosa?" He raised an eyebrow and stared at me as if he didn't hear me. "Where's Rosa?" "Bad boy, what's between the two of you? Is she your girlfriend? Have you finally found love? How many times have I warned you to stop asking me personal questions? This type of personal question is needed. I'm just trying to help here." He moved closer to me as if to make sure no one will hear what he's going to say. "Everyone here are asking themselves who Rosa is to you? If Ron finds out that there's a girl whom you care about, he might see her as your weakness. She's not safe, bad boy." I found sense in what he was saying, so I decided to think things through. "You're right. But she's save her. Make sure you keep an eye on her. I'll go and tell her now not to go out of the house at all until I come back fully. I can't afford to have her in the wrong hands." "That's much better. She seems like a good and innocent girl to me. She'll make a good wife after I stop being your sidekick." "Don't even think of it. You don't deserve Rosa. Do you deserve her?" I frowned and punched him on the shoulder. He groaned and I laughed. "Next time when I'm teasing you, I'll remember to create a huge space between us." I chuckled. "Me, serves you right," he cracked, and I raced upstairs. I gently knocked on Rosa's door before opening it. I entered and she was sleeping. I gently moved to the bed and sat down beside her. I looked at her peaceful face. "Do you deserve her?" Leon's words rang in my ears again. I don't know why his words always replay in my head. I gently removed the strand of hair that fell across her face. "She's beautiful." Her eyes gently and slowly flicked open. She jerked back when she saw me. "Wait, bad boy?" I smiled. "Bad boy." She flew and hugged me. I laughed and carried her up. "Missed me?" 100%. She laughed. "I missed you more. That's why I came. Though I won't stay till tomorrow." Her face changed. "Come on. Don't give me that face. I'll be back next week." "Not next 2 weeks?" "No. I'll try to conclude everything next week." I made her sit down and I dropped the bag that contained the teddy on her leg. "What's this?" "Your teddy bear." She brought it out and screamed, then hugged it and kissed it repeatedly. Lucky teddy. "Thanks, Oppa." I laughed and sat beside her. No one has called me Oppa in years. Which means I just broke another record in your life, yeah. She dropped the teddy and stood up. She took my hands and dragged me up. "I'm bored. Let's play." She began to run round the room while dragging my hand. I suddenly carried her up and used her to turn around very fast. She was screaming and holding me tight. I suddenly stopped and we both fell down on the floor because we were very dizzy. We were laughing so hard as if something really funny happened. I pulled her into a cuddle though her eyes were closed. "Rosa, don't leave the house for any reason, okay?" "Okay, and if you need anything you can contact Leon." "Okay, I'll miss you, my princess." She didn't reply that, instead she opened her eyes. I looked at her. I think I'm hungry, she chuckled. I stood up and pulled her up. Then we went downstairs together. I called him last night but we didn't speak much. I'm in an emergency situation right now, my period will show up tomorrow and I don't have any tampons or sanitary pads. I need to get them. I would have asked Leon to help me but it's too embarrassing to have a boy get them for you. I have money so I want to go and buy them. I won't waste time at all. I'll just take taxi to pharmaceutical store and get them then take another taxi back. I won't be out for long. I took my phone and purse then went out of the house. I saw guards but I didn't want anybody to follow me so I just pretended as if I'm going to tell the security guard at the gate something. I peep into his office but he wasn't there. I sneaked out and saw a taxi almost immediately. I stopped it and entered then sighed softly. By REOM. Good and perfect timing. Bad boy's girl is leaving the house. I better call Kick. Hello Kick. There's a taxi with the number 23,412 leaving Bad Boys Street now. Follow it and kidnap the girl in it. Okay, I'm on it. I hung up and sat down and faced my computer again. I looked around the compound through it and after the taxi to see if anyone was following her but no one was. I smirked and stood up then poured myself some beer. I bought them and held the bag firmly as I walked outside. I didn't want to waste any time so I immediately flagged down the taxi that was coming. I entered and told the driver my address. He grinned and drove off but later took another street. Sir, you should have taken the other street, it's quicker than this one. Driver, I hope you know Bad Boy's number, because you're going to need it. What? He suddenly stopped the car and pointed a gun at me. Driver, your phone now. I shivered and quickly gave it to him. He demanded for the bag too but I begged him that it was something else. He didn't listen. He came out of the car and pulled me out. A black long van drove to us and he kicked me in. Someone pushed me down and tied my hands. Driver, Bad Boy has good eyes. They laughed and the driver used his gun to hit the back of my neck. Everything became blurry and I passed out.